there's some lights. What is it about this light? Hello, everyone.
Hello. Mark's in a shirt. Doesn't he look nice?
Here you go.
Made a real effort for you tonight, he has.
Yeah. Pet pop.
Real effort.
Real effort. Oh, your hair looks nice.
Thank you. It's an accidental good hair day.
Wavy hair.
Oh no, it's a total accident. It's just because it got wet. It got damp in the rain.
Okay, well, we're here to review the second episode of Mrs. Wilson, starring Ruth Wilson, playing her own grandmother, as she discovers, her grandmother discovers, that her husband is a bigamist, or has had many, many marriages and relationships. And
apparently, Ruth Wilson was on Graham Norton the other day, wasn't she? And what did you say she was saying?
She was so funny. Me and Maddie and Kiki were watching it because essentially she was asked how difficult it is to play her grandmother, which she said, yeah, well, that is odd. Yes, of course, it's odd. She said, what's odder is that, of course, she's pregnant in it, and she, at some point, gives birth to
her own dad.
So imagine that. Imagine playing a part and giving birth to your own father. It'd be like you playing your grandmother. It'd be weird, wouldn't it?
Giving birth to my dad.
Strange thought. Anyway,
onwards.
The first thought that went ricocheting through my brain when this episode started was, I liked the first episode. We reviewed it here. I thought it was intriguing, but I was slightly concerned how they were going to maintain it or take it to the next level. And then a milk float went through shot. I thought, God, I really miss milk floats.
Yeah, so do I.
Do you miss them? It was almost like there was a time delay there.
I do, yeah. I was just thinking about them. I was thinking about that sound.
Yeah, the little electric engines and the little guys on them that would sort of... And they'd also... Our milkman down at Minan's used to sort of deliver orange juice in milk bottles and things like that. Anyway, the reason I'm saying all of that, I think it's all...
And tunnocks.
And, well,
so only place you could get tunnocks when I was a kid was from the milkman.
But don't you think the evocation of time in this series is perfect? Oh, 1950s post-war suburban Britain.
The styling and production design has been really good, and I all the way through we kept saying, because Maddie watched it with us last night as well, our 15-year-old, if you're new to the channel, Maddie, who often reviews on here, but she kept saying about the colours, didn't she? She thoroughly enjoyed it. At 15, so it's quite a good show actually for, you know, if you wanted your teens really to get a bit of a history and what it felt like in those times. And well, things like, you know, just the bits and pieces. For instance, when you were talking to her about how our girls will never understand was in that time, you just did what your husband said.
Absolutely.
And that was it.
It was really reminding me a lot of my nan and my granddad, because their
social history.
Yeah, their house is very similar to the suburban house that my nan and granddad lived in Birmingham. And I was saying to Maddie, back in the day, because you could, it's easy to say, well, why isn't she asking where her husband's going in that
what's
scene?
he doing? Why isn't she saying, come on a minute, you carry the baby upstairs.
Take me with you and stuff like that.
Wasn't like that.
That wasn't the equation. So having these sort of compartmentalised parts of your lives that your other half had no access to, it actually ended up making me think a lot about my grandfather's private life, actually, because he used to go off for months at end. Wouldn't it be weird if he had a whole other family?
Months?
Yeah, in the summer.
Did he?
He went away for 8 weeks.
Only once?
No, he would go every summer, but one summer he didn't contact her because they... Anyway, this is very personal, No,
but because that's the thing about this programme. You know, everyone loves a programme that you can have a drama that you can have a good think and a good chat about. And I think these are all the chats that come out of it. Gosh, who could be in your life that would be having a completely double life? I mean, the pain that you feel as this story unravels and the truth comes out. I felt it for her. Imagine that betrayal, and she plays it.
Oh, she's absolutely remarkable. Can I just say, Ruth Wilson, if you ever stumble across our channel, and I haven't got to grips with anything you've been in yet, this is your moment for me.
We love you.
You're absolutely phenomenal.
And once we love an actor, oh my God,
we stalk you.
With them.
We follow you, we park outside your house, and you need to worry.
Yeah.
That's what happens. But no, seriously, it really, that post-war period, which I think this captures so well, I think is a time of real loss. And, you know, if I think of my mum when she was born and how kids were put up for adoption, I'd be fascinated to know the number of blended, you know, this idea of a blended family being quite a modern phenomenon. I think there's far more that was going on back then, but it just had to be concealed socially. So anyway, it's really evocative, this. So Fiona Shaw is back in. Ruth Wilson.
Thank God, she's so brilliant.
Fiona Shaw's
She was the one in Killing Eve. She's brilliant in this. She seems a bit broken down and a bit ill in this episode. I think she might die in episode 3.
Do you?
I love.
You know, there's only one more episode.
Yeah, that's why I said I think she might die in 3. I love the episode. I love in this episode where she's frying eggs and smoking a fag. In actors speak, all that stuff that you do whilst you're in a scene is called business. And, you know, some actors are just brilliant at it. They can do a whole lot of business whilst they're delivering their lines. Because don't forget, every time they say a line, whatever bit of business they do, for continuity, they've got to remember exactly what they did on what line and when they said it. So I always love it, because I was thinking, we had this with her actually in Killing Eve. She did a lot of good business, didn't she? She's a very good theatre actress as well, so she will have, you know, she knows her craft. But I love the whole thing of her smoking the fag while she's cooking the eggs and bacon. Love that scene. I love eggs and ash. Eggs and ash. Loved that scene.
Are you good at business? Because, I mean, you very forgetful, aren't you?
I was quite good in EastEnders.
Business. Anyway, so clearly Fiona Shaw knows a lot more about Mrs. Wilson's husband than she's willing to tell her. And she clearly reveals that there's another woman in the mix. And the other woman in the mix is the Home Secretary from The Bodyguard, who is, quickly say it, Keeley Hawes.
Keeley Hawes.
Keeley Hawes?
Keeley Hawes.
Keeley Hawes.
Keeley Hawes.
Keeley Hawes. Yay! And
oh my God, I mean, she was brilliant.
There's a scene of confrontation, absolutely, which they trailed actually on the Graham Norton show. And Ruth Wilson goes to see her to sort of, well, just to find out, who are you? Were you? Did you have a relationship with him? How would you describe that scene? Was absolutely towering.
It was perfect. It was perfect.
You want to see two actresses,
acting their bloody socks off. Well, not acting their socks off, telling the truth. They were so in their truth. They were brilliant. Just
two talking heads. This is what I love about performers. And absolutely, you don't need any bloody, you know, crane shots, steady cams, remarkable sets. Just a boring suburban house, two fabulous female actresses, and they just inhabited
their characters. And they showed us their pain and their manipulation and their willing to fight till the
desire for vengeance,
their hate of each other, but their acceptance that they were, because they were both so desperate to know the truth, that they sat with each other. Everything, every bit of it was so believable.
Rich.
Yeah.
So rich. And then there was a scene straight after it where Ruth Wilson's walked out because she's trying to piece together basically the past, the checkered past of her husband. Lots of neat flashbacks where that clever thing about memory and how one can kid oneself in an experience that you're going through it into thinking it was benevolent when upon reflection you go, oh, no, it wasn't quite so good. Ah, he was up to something. So I quite like that constant toing and froing with the time scale, going back and reconsidering what was going on. But then there was a scene outside. Of course, a part of this series that really resonates for me is the lack of any of the sons' real knowledge of their father in the absent families and Ruth Wilson's, you know, the other families. They don't know who their father is, so they've been spun yarns, spun lies about who their father is. And it's not that I was spun lies, but there's great ambiguity around who my dad is. So this scene where Ruth Wilson comes out of the house, Keeley Hawes' house, and sees her son, who is also the son of Ruth Wilson's husband. And there's a moment where she wants to blow his cover because this boy thinks that his father died in the war. And you can see Ruth Wilson wanting vengeance, wanting to hurt. God. And there was an openness to that boy's face. That actor is remarkable. An openness to his face of expectancy and wanting to know more.
Tell me about my dad. Yes, I knew him. I knew him in the war. And you're thinking, oh my God, she's going to do it. She's going to do it. She's going to tell him, don't break his heart, don't break his heart. And then then the mother kicked in. The mother kicked in.
She played it
I can do this to my son. It was bloody
It was heartbreaking. And again, it was an incidental moment that was given such heft and weight, wasn't it? But for me, it was heartbreaking because, of course, I didn't want my image of my dad. And so that boy captured the importance of holding on to this myth, if you like. I just thought it was remarkable. So Ruth Wilson meets the son. I've put here. So I'm just looking at my notes. That was so powerful. I was reminded how austere life was back then, wasn't it? It was very English. I think it deals with the Britishness of everything very well. It's very stilted, but doesn't make the programme or the film stilted, does it? It's just, there was a sort of...
The suppression, the brooding, breeding, seething emotions that people had, and they kept buttoned up.
Yeah. What about the childbirth scene? The flashback to the childbirth when he wasn't there.
Horrible.
And her mother comes in.
And she's hungry.
Oh my God. And the music. Can I do a big shout out to the music there?
Yeah,
incidental music was absolutely bloody brilliant.
Really good.
I wanted to listen to it straight afterwards. Good. And so you started, it was very clever because I started to really, really dislike Ian Glenn at this point. I was thinking, I mean, you're obviously not going to like him because but then I thought they did a very clever thing about almost 3/4 of the way through, where the Indian guy who he's been working for takes us into the fact that Ian Glenn was doing something for the British, for the Foreign Office, and he saved people's lives. And isn't it interesting, just that line, he saved people's lives.
Thousands of people's lives.
Yeah, but didn't that... It reframed him for me.
Didn't excuse why it had to
No,
be...
no.
No, because I love that, because she said... And so what? We were just all...
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. But isn't it funny how it doesn't excuse it?
She feels like she's been murdered in a way.
Oh, she absolutely does. But doesn't it... Is he as much a victim? Did he have as much inflexibility in his circumstances?
Well, you know what? This way there was a bit of a gap for me in the writing and a lack of believability, because I don't believe that guy, the Indian guy who
I know what you're saying,
coughs it all up,
yeah,
would have.
Well, why wouldn't he have done
so
sooner?
Easily.
Why wouldn't he have done sooner?
And then and then he was a spy, and then I introduced him to that.
Yeah, it was
for me
quite
was
neat.
like, no, I don't want this to happen because it's really, really weak part in the programme, and the programme's perfect and I'm loving it.
Yeah.
So that was a really weak part. So I don't really want to talk about that.
Oh, you don't want to talk about that?
Because I was trying to pretend that didn't happen.
But that was important because that's where Ian Glenn started his relationship with Keeley Hawes.
But it made it very difficult, because what you were asking was, did that change us? And I found it very difficult because it was a believability problem with the whole thing. I don't think...
Well, there was, because Ruth
that
Wilson...
That is necessarily still yet the truth.
What? Oh, you think the Indian guy's lying? You think there's a
I think there's a double bluff.
You thought...
It was just too easy. Why would he suddenly spill his gut? Well, I hope it's this, because otherwise there's a real lack in the writing. Why would he just spill his guts like that?
He's always looked a bit suspicious, hasn't he,
so
in the close-ups?
Very suspicious about him.
And she wouldn't have been able to walk into a men's drinking-only club.
That's what I said. Because we've been talking about the period and about suppression and blah, 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 blah. You went, oh, I've come to see Mr. Groats in the Ding-a-Ding. Oh, just go through, ma'am. No way.
Well, at one point, you thought Keeley Hawes was a spy.
Still think she might be.
I think your mum's a spy.
So do I.
I genuinely do. As I'm watching this, I'm thinking, perhaps your mum was sent in on a mission, but her mission has to be so complete, and she's such a pro, because your mum's quite professional in a you know, she puts her mind to something. She's such a pro, she's going to take it to the last day.
I think so.
Do you?
Yeah.
I think we're going to find out she's got a bionic eye.
Come on, let's get on.
Anyway, yeah, so his marriage to Keeley wasn't real. Didn't they reveal that actually it wasn't consummated properly? So perhaps he wasn't a bigamist?
But we don't know.
So you think the Indian chap is a bit of a one?
Well, he
might be lying.
Could be, what's it called when you say?
An apologist?
And a rotten egg, what's it called?
A bad egg?
No.
A
slippery fish.
A slippery fish?
No.
A funny,
what's the thing
a
when
fishy character?
No.
A red herring?
Yes!
It was new as a fish. And my God,
a red herring.
Is it a red herring? Is it a blue guppy?
No, it's a red herring.
Red herring. It's a MacGuffin.
Oh, now stop it now, being silly.
That's what Hitchcock called them, a MacGuffin.
Come on.
Well, we're almost there. So there's the suggestion that he's not married to... I was wondering whether, I think Ian Glenn is a victim. I think it's all going to twist round and he's going to have not had much choice. Because, although, in fact, hang on a minute, the house he said was his family home wasn't his family home.
He didn't need to add that, did he? That was for his own ego and his own schmoozing and his own charming.
Did I hear somewhere in there that he beat up his wife?
No. No, God, those punches Keeley Hawes gave him were brilliant. No, he said they had terrible fights. The landlord who squeezed Ruth Wilson's hand.
The landlord was horrible, wasn't he? It's a bit
typical
of a...
landlord. What do I mean, typical landlord?
Typical landlord. Typical landlord back in the 70s. But yeah, he took her
money.
Not
even a typical landlord back in the 70s. I mean, that
60s,
kind of...
50s.
You know, that kind of idea of the creepy landlord. He was one of those.
Yeah. I didn't like all that. Yeah. What horrible bedsit that they were. Anyway,
so
the episode ended. The episode ended with her opening the inner layer of a wallet and finding a card for a licensed pawnbroker.
I was a bit annoyed. I thought it was going to be something a bit more exciting, but obviously more will be revealed, and we just were so excited when we saw it. Because I was a bit worried, wasn't I? I said, how many episodes is this? Because you said... Yeah, because it feels like all the questions have been answered, didn't it? And then I said, yes, it does. And you said, don't worry, there's still another episode.
And then you said red herring.
Wow. I think I might have said tuna fish.
Here's the thing, though. I was worried after the first episode where they could take it and was so brilliantly amazed by this episode. I now really don't know where they can take it, so I'm hoping to be even more brilliantly amazed next week.
Leave your comments below, and if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you can be, well, there's no other way to say it, notified.